The rain fell hard that afternoon, turning the narrow country road into a river of mud and puddles. A silver minivan stood motionless by the side, its hazard lights blinking weakly through the downpour. Inside, Lena, a young mother in her early 30s, gripped the steering wheel and sighed. Her son Max, a small boy with curious blue eyes, sat in the back seat, hugging a worn-out teddy bear. "Mom, are we stuck?" he asked in a small voice. Lena forced a smile. "Just for a bit, sweetheart. Someone will come to help." But her confidence faltered when she checked her phone. No signal. The car had coughed, sputtered, and died miles away from town. The dashboard glowed with warning lights she didn't understand. After nearly half an hour of waiting, the sound of a diesel engine broke through the rain. A rusty tow truck pulled up behind her van, its headlights cutting through the mist. The door opened and out stepped Ethan, a rugged man with a kind face and hands that told stories of hard work. His jacket was soaked, his boots splashed mud, yet his smile was genuine. "Need a hand, ma'am?" he asked, raising his voice over the rain. Lena nodded, relief flooding her features. "It just died on me. I think I broke it." Ethan chuckled softly. "Cars don't break that easy. Let's take a look." He popped the hood and leaned in, the rain dripping from his cap. His practiced eyes moved over the engine, hands steady despite the cold. "Alternator's shot," he said finally. "That's why your battery's dead. I can tow you back to my shop and fix it there." Lena bit her lip. "I don't have much cash right now. I was just taking my son to my sister's place." Ethan paused, looking at Max through the window. The boy waved shyly. "Don't worry about the money," Ethan said gently. "Let's get you both out of the rain first." 15 minutes later, they sat in the warm cab of his truck. Max smiled as Ethan made funny car noises, pretending the tow truck was a spaceship. For the first time that day, Lena laughed. She glanced at the man beside her, humble, kind, selfless, and something deep inside her heart stirred. That rainy road would soon become the place where 3 lives quietly began to change. A week had passed since that rainy evening. But Lena couldn't get Ethan out of her mind. Every time she drove her now perfectly running minivan, she thought about the way he smiled, honest, warm, and without expectation. On Saturday morning, after finishing her shift at the diner, she decided to visit his garage. Not to repay him with money. She didn't have much, but with something made from the heart. She carried a still warm apple pie, wrapped in a towel to protect it from the cold November wind. The small-town mechanic's garage stood at the edge of the road. A weathered sign read, "Ethan's Auto Repairs, honest work, honest price." She hesitated before entering, smoothing her hair nervously. Inside, Ethan was beneath an old Chevy, his hands black with grease. He rolled out on a mechanic's creeper when he saw her boots. "Lena," he said, surprised but clearly happy. "Did the van give you trouble again?" She shook her head, smiling shyly. "No, it's perfect. I just wanted to thank you properly." She held out the pie. "I made this for you." Ethan blinked, momentarily lost for words. "You didn't have to. I just did my job." "Maybe," she replied softly. "But not everyone would have helped a stranger that night, especially without asking for payment." Before he could answer, a small voice piped up from behind her. "Hi, Mr. Ethan." It was Max, running in with a folded paper clutched in his hands. He opened it proudly, a crayon drawing of Ethan standing beside a car with a big smile and the words, "My Hero," written in colorful letters. Ethan's rough, oil-stained fingers trembled slightly as he took it. "You drew this for me?" Max nodded, grinning. "You fixed Mom's car and made her happy again. That's what heroes do." Something tightened in Ethan's chest. He cleared his throat and smiled. "Well then, I'll hang this right here." He taped it to the wall near his toolbox, where it would stay for years to come. Lena watched quietly, her eyes glistening. "You're good with him," she said softly. "He doesn't open up to people easily." Ethan met her gaze, his voice low and sincere. "Maybe he just needed someone to show him things can be fixed, not just cars." And for a moment, both of them stood there, 2 broken souls, realizing that kindness could rebuild more than engines. The weeks that followed seemed to melt together in quiet, comforting rhythm. Lena stopped by the garage often, sometimes with coffee, sometimes just to chat while Ethan worked. What started as gratitude slowly turned into something deeper, something unspoken, but felt in every glance, every shared smile. Ethan had become a part of their small world. On Saturdays, he'd take Max to the junkyard, letting him help find old parts. The boy followed him everywhere, wearing a little cap and pretending to be his assistant. Lena would watch them from afar, Ethan kneeling beside Max, explaining how an engine worked, both of them laughing freely. For the first time in years, her home was filled with the sound of laughter again. One chilly evening in early December, Lena invited Ethan over for dinner. "It's nothing fancy," she said nervously over the phone. "Just a little thank you dinner." Ethan hesitated, glancing at his reflection in the shop's dusty window. His heart beat faster than it should. "I'd love to," he finally said. That night he arrived at her small cottage, carrying a box of chocolates for Max. The house smelled like home, warm bread, herbs, and something sweet baking in the oven. Max ran to greet him, hugging his leg as if Ethan had always belonged there. Come in," Lena said, wiping her hands on her apron. She looked radiant in the soft kitchen light, her hair loosely tied back, her smile shy yet sincere. They ate together at the little wooden table, laughing between bites. Max told wild stories from school. Ethan played along, pretending to be shocked at every twist. For a while, they weren't mechanic, widow, and boy. They were simply a family sharing dinner. After Max fell asleep on the couch, Lena poured 2 cups of tea. Silence lingered between them, heavy with unspoken words. "You've done so much for us, Ethan," she said finally. "You've brought happiness back into our lives." He looked down, unsure how to respond. "You two have done the same for me," he said softly. Their eyes met across the flickering candlelight. For a brief moment, it felt like the world outside didn't exist, only warmth, understanding, and the quiet possibility of love waiting to be spoken. The first snow of winter had fallen overnight, coating the little town in a soft white blanket. Ethan's garage was quiet that morning. Most people stayed home when the roads turned icy. He was tightening the last bolt on a pickup truck when the door opened, letting in a rush of cold air, and Lena's familiar voice. "Morning, stranger," she said, smiling shyly, her cheeks flushed from the cold. Max peeked out from behind her, bundled in a bright red scarf. Ethan's face lit up instantly. "Hey, you two, out in this weather? Brave souls. We came to see you," Lena said, stepping closer. "I made something for you." She handed him a small, neatly wrapped package. Inside was a pair of dark leather gloves, handmade, with careful stitching. He turned them over in awe. "You made these?" She nodded. "Your hands are always working for others." "I thought they deserved a little warmth." Ethan swallowed hard, emotion catching in his throat. "Thank you, Lena, really." They spent the afternoon together, drinking hot cocoa in the garage office while Max drew pictures by the heater. The air was filled with laughter and quiet comfort, the kind that feels like home. As the sun began to set, Lena grew silent. She looked at Ethan, her eyes soft, but filled with something deeper, a question that had lived in her heart for weeks. "Ethan," she began carefully, "you've become so important to us. To Max and to me." He looked at her, his pulse quickening. "You both mean a lot to me, too." She took a deep breath, her hands trembling slightly. "Max asked me something last night," she whispered. "He said, 'Mom, can Ethan be my dad?'" Ethan froze, his breath catching. Lena's eyes glistened. "So I guess I'm asking you now, do you want to be my son's father?" For a moment time stopped. Then Ethan's eyes softened, and a tender smile spread across his face. He knelt beside Max and gently placed a hand on his shoulder. "I'd be honored, buddy." Lena covered her mouth, tears spilling freely. Ethan stood and pulled her close, whispering, "You fixed my heart." "Lena, guess we both know how to repair what's broken." Outside, snow kept falling, soft, endless, and pure, marking the beginning of their new life together.